everyone, thanks for joining us on the program Property Doctor. We talk about the buildings, we talk about the built environment, how we can manage and maintain our buildings and our structures generally to help us save lives, save time, and save money. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up by clicking the like button. If you're new here, I welcome you to the family, and I would appreciate it if you could click on the subscribe button, and one more thing, click on the notification bell so that you'll be notified whenever a new episode comes up. My name is Fumi Amunega Ajayi, also known as your Property Doctor. You can connect with us on our social media handles on Facebook, Instagram, and on YouTube like you're doing right now at Property Doctor NG, and on Twitter at Property Doc NG.
I'm coming. If you hand over to government to maintain, the budget the money and share it.
To live in that particular place that the house is. So it's supposed government will compensate them so that and pay them and relocate them to where they are going and build another house for them.
Careful engineering and management to meet human needs. Today we'll be talking about proper flood management. You know, we're waiting for the rainy season with great expectations, and in some areas in Nigeria, some are already in the rainy season right now as I'm speaking already. But are we really prepared for this season, knowing fully well that it comes with its own peculiarities like erosion, flooding, dampness, and a good one, a bumper harvest. You know, you have cool weather, just to mention a few. Talking about proper flood management is very important. You know, sometimes people have to check the weather to know the weather forecast to determine their dressing, whether they need to go out with umbrellas, whether they need to wear something that will keep them away from water, and so on. Now in this rainy season, you observe that some people need to check the forecast to know whether they should go out or not, or to plan their movement generally. But those in the agricultural sector, they are quite expectant because they are happy, because they can plan. They expect God's blessing in form of a bountiful harvest. That is, if there is no flood to wash away whatever they have planted. So what is flooding? Flooding is an overflow of water on a piece of land that is normally dry. That is the definition from books and from the internet. Floods can happen during heavy rains, or maybe when you have ocean waves coming to shore, and when snow melts quickly, or maybe when the dams overflow or there's a break in the dam. Damaging floods may happen with an improper evacuation of this flood, and excess of this flooding is what we are talking about, because it can damage even the aquatic system, causing an imbalance. Some people define flooding as an overflow of water that submerges the land that is usually dry. That is, the land is not just wet, but is submerged in the overflow of that water. We talked about indoor flooding generally in our previous episode, but now let's look at the outdoor flooding. That is the flooding that happens or occurs at the exterior of buildings, or maybe structures like roads, bridges, and so on, so many other things, even our gardens and so on. We should take flooding very seriously and handle it very well. Plan for it and handle it very well, because when it comes, it just damages whatever it meets on the road and gives people problem. It damages buildings, national structures, I beg your pardon, and people may even lose their lives and their properties. If we act now, we can save these buildings, we can save lives, we can do things the right way and have peace of mind. So floods can be controlled by redirecting the excess water on purpose to a built canal or floodways, which in turn diverts the water to temporary holding ponds or other bodies of water where there is a lower risk or impact of flooding. So when you channel this water, you are redirecting the water. So rechanneling this water is what is called channelization. And channelization is a deliberate attempt to alter the natural geometry of the river or of water flowing. This control is what we need to talk about, and that is what we're already talking about right now. Saying that flooding is a problem that occurs yearly or most of the time, we should plan for it. Let's look at the proper management of flooding from the very beginning. It should begin at the design and planning stage. We need to take care of this from the planning stage of a region, of a city, of a town, even of a building. When you're building just one house, you need to plan for flooding to prevent problem tomorrow. Now, when you are planning, the first person you need to talk to is the land surveyor. He has to check the topography of the area, the contours, the heights, and so on, to see where water flows through and where water stays when he's checking the environment. You need a town planner to help you plan the area. That is when you're planning a city or maybe an estate or something. Locate different infrastructures in the places where they need to be. You need a town planner to help you do that, especially when you're developing a region or a particular area, opening up cities. You need town planners. Now, we put infrastructures in place and plan to make sure that it is maintained and managed properly. When we're talking about these infrastructures, we are talking about roads, we are talking about maybe street lights, we are talking about so many things that is for everybody. If you are putting a market in a particular area, you plan for that market in that area, because you know there are a lot of things that goes with a market or a shopping center. So you have to plan for the people and make sure they are not flooded or they don't have a problem of flood. So build to design. Make sure that the drains are not blocked to avoid flooding. Now, prepare a place to receive excess water in the areas, that is, in case you have done everything and there is still flooding. You have to plan to receive this excess water in some areas. If you don't evacuate this flood properly, the overflow may damage the aquatic system, causing an imbalance in that area, and sometimes the overflow can even cause people to drown. So prepare for the overflow of the dams and other water collection points in the area. This is a preventive maintenance aspect of construction coming to play. You have to plan ahead. It's a planned thing. Another thing we should look into is that we should have the flood warning systems. I don't know if we have that here in Nigeria, so that people can respond immediately. There is a signal about an overflow. That means you should have the gadgets working, and you have people that will respond to the signal that they are getting that there is an overflow that is about to occur. Now, when we are building our homes, we need to modify the buildings and build to prevent the houses or the homes from being flooded. Now, you know, here in Nigeria we have something we call the oversight concrete, which some people call maybe the DPC, as a layman can call it. So you build that to be high above the ground and above the road level, so that when the water is coming, it doesn't come into your own house. So make sure you have done that during construction. It will keep you safe even in your own house. Make sure your buildings are above road levels and construct above flood levels. You will be given signs on what to do when you are constructing. This will help your buildings still stay safe for a long time, even when there is an overflow. You know, some houses here in Nigeria, you have to step down when you go into those houses. Don't build like that, because those houses are very vulnerable when there is a little flood. Now, we need to plan for flooding. In another way is that maybe we can have a budget, call it flood defense budget and use such monies for what they are meant for. You are building, but you are preparing for a problem in case it occurs. You are already on ground, so you have a budget for flood defense structures like rock beams, like riprap, so many things that you can build and put in place so that your cities and your homes are not flooded. Protect your wetlands and introduce plants that can, strategically keep those floods away or reduce the velocity at which the water is flowing so that it doesn't wash away the ground, causing erosion and causing other problems. Another thing that can cause flooding that we can prevent is a waste disposal method. Here we find out that people don't dispose waste properly in some areas, not everywhere. So we should have the mindset to dispose our waste properly, put it in the right place, not just anywhere you see, just dump whatever you want to dump and move on. It's not good. Now, remove excess sand from the road to prevent the blockage of the drain. When you're walking on the road, you find out that most of these drains are already blocked. So, and sometimes they are blocked by sand or something. This causes problem. When the water is flowing, it doesn't have anywhere to go, and you see it accumulating on the road, it can cause problem. And it can even affect your cars on the road. It can affect people walking on the streets. Now, climate change can cause flooding as well as encourage excess rainfall. So when you have excess rainfall, it can cause flooding. So we have to watch the climate change. This is one of the signals that we need to check. Like the first thing I mentioned, that we should have the system, the flood warning systems, we should have it in place. So if you have a climate change, you can quickly check and know that, okay, there's maybe flooding can occur and prevent it. Sometimes when excess water is released from the dam, it can be channeled properly to prevent an overflow, to prevent flooding, so it cannot affect people. So prevent damp rising in your building when you keep the floods away. Now, we have been talking about proper flood management. Let's look at the buildings after construction. Even the roads, maybe sometimes we see that there are errors. Maybe when they were doing the construction, nobody's above mistake. But when you see some of these problems happening, what can you do as an individual? If you find out that there is a mistake somewhere, you can still manage your own buildings well. Redirect the water outside. You can use sandbags. You can use expanded drainage system. You can install rock beams or riprap by the ocean area to prevent flooding from that side. And you can maintain a normal slope with your vegetation, or maybe application of soil cement on steeper slope. Maybe it's steep, you see that there is a slope and it's so steep, you can control it so that it doesn't wash away the road. We talked about erosion some time ago. You can watch our video and see how you can manage erosion to prevent it affecting your buildings. Now, construct a better drainage system. I mentioned expanding the size of the drainage if you need to do so. When you expand the drainage system or the size of the drainage system to accommodate more water, then you should plan also to dispose the water in a proper way and take the water out of the drainage system in a place, a collection point that cannot cause overflow on the streets to affect the common man. Sometimes this flooding can occur outside, and when it's occurring outside, it can flow into the building through the sewer system or through the pipes. The question is, how did it come into the buildings? It's because there's no flood control system working around that area, and we need to put this together to make sure that it is working well. Now, flood control system is designed, to protect our homes when the main sewer lines cannot protect our homes, in the sense that the system encourages water to flow into the building instead of outside the building. So the flood control system consists of maybe one-way or two-way flow valves that can prevent the sewer system from flowing back into your building, from flowing into the home. Because you have the valve, it will not allow water to come in from the outside, but it can allow whatever waste is leaving the building to go outside the building from the building. Now, if you have these valves in place, it will prevent the water from flooding into the homes through the pipes. You can also have a flood control system in the cities generally, so that the water doesn't flow in the wrong direction. But in the rural areas, we don't have such things in place. So we need to develop a system that will suit them also, so that water does not flow into people's homes to destroy them or their properties. Our responsibilities generally during this rainy season is quite high, and we need to be up and doing to make sure that we keep our environment safe. There are little things that we do on a regular basis, like we cut trees. Cut down your trees when you know that your tree is so tall and it can affect the cables or the poles, the electric cables and the poles. Please cut them down so that when it's windy, it cannot affect the electric poles. Now, if you have cut your trees and you have flowers that you trimmed, please do not block the drain, so that we don't have a blocked drain system. Now, check your homes to make sure that your thunder arrestor is working. We talked about thunder arrestor some time ago. You can check one of our videos on that as well. Now, clear your drainage system to avoid flooding and clean your environment properly. Dispose your refuse very well, or your nylon, your paper, plastic bottles, and everything should be disposed properly, not on the roads, not on in the gutters or in the drains. Keep them away so that you cannot block our drainage system and we don't have flooding. Repair your roofs to prevent indoor flooding. Now, plan to keep excess water away, both from inside the building and outside the building. I hope you enjoyed this particular episode. Please don't forget to click the like button and also click the subscribe button so that you be one of our family. I will be expecting you to click the button. Thank you for being the family, and thank you for clicking on the like button. Thank you for clicking on the notification bell. I hope to see you same time next week on another interesting episode of Property Doctor. Until then, enjoy the rest of your day and bye.
I'm coming. If you hand over to government to maintain, the budget the money and share it.
To live in that particular place that the house is. So it's supposed government will compensate them, so that and pay them and relocate them to where they are going and build another house for them.
Careful engineering and management to meet human needs.